Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who have joined. Thank you for joining today. I want to spend a few moments to talk about really the different areas of ZBB, and also, the traditional and even some that we've even recently been using in terms of ZBB are a bit even outdated at times. So we'll go through a bit of those pitfalls, and then also I can recommend a few areas that can maybe help you as you integrate some of these elements. So let's first, and I think Olga set it up the right way. Traditional budgeting is as old as time, and this is really where we consider any new expenses by keeping the base intact. Okay, we all know that this has been augmented by ZBB. Which is where we analyze every expense one by one. Okay, this is all good stuff, and the cost transparency that comes with this, it promotes throughout the organization and helps everyone understand the rationale behind budgeting decisions and fosters accountability. There's also efficiencies, right? We know that ZBB forces organizations to critically examine every expense, no matter how small it is. It scrutinizes and identifies and eliminates unnecessary cost. It also helps the organizations to reallocate resources. All right, ZBB can also lead to reallocating low impact areas to high impact areas. By reallocating funds based on a current need and performance, companies can optimize investments. All right, this is a good thing. You can also focus on value creation. Instead of assuming that all expenses should be carried forward from the previous year, ZBB requires departments to justify how their spending will create value for the organization. This shifts focus of a mindset, right, in terms of value creation. And also performance measurement, right? ZBB encourages and establishes clear performance KPIs and metrics for each budget item. So these are the fundamentals of ZBB, but I would also argue that there are some drawbacks or constraints to the traditional ZBB process. Some of these constraints are on the screen here. It can be resource intensive. The classic ZBB process can be time consuming and resource intensive. Starting each budget from scratch every year, looking through all expenses, may strain resources and disrupt business operations. It also could be a lack of flexibility in this process. May not accommodate rapidly changing business environment or conditions, right? Market shifts all the time. It might be in response to unforeseen events. Also, there could be difficulty in prioritization. ZBB may struggle to prioritize expenses effectively, as all items must be justified equally. And this can lead to maybe inefficient allocation of resources. Also, short-term focus, because ZBB is typically implemented on an annual basis, it may encourage a short-term focus on cost cutting rather than long-term value creation. Also, complexity, right? All of our organizations are too complex, too large. And in this instance, it may find the classic ZBB difficult to implement due to the sheer volume of expenses and the need to coordinate across numerous departments and divisions. Okay, so I will then advocate that you have a look at something different, a new approach. And this is the way that we approach budgeting and forecasting at Mondelez. And we look at it more in terms of empowerment versus a clawback of funds, thinking of it as a carrot versus a stick, okay? So future-backed planning requires that you first define a future vision, okay? You define some 10-year, 15-year out vision, which is ambitious, it's transformational, and it contains the right priorities which you should progress against as a business. Once this vision is set, the idea of future-backed planning is to identify what the company needs to do now to achieve this vision. The process is across all functions. This isn't just a financial exercise, but rather strategic blue sky thinking. For instance, if we wanted to expand into new categories, what would they be? What would be required to reset our gross margin? What would it take to capture 5 extra points of market share within a specific channel where we play? how would we need to reorganize ourselves to achieve this? What is the right level of marketing spending? And forget about the typical ZBB process of taking the prior year and only justifying new costs, but what if you were to distort your investment to certain brands or businesses? How would you build it from the bottoms up? So this is really defining the future, and this is a very much a business-focused conversation. Strategic business drivers, okay? Next is to assess the financial situation, right? We have to understand what the financials are behind this and have clear KPIs. So we need to create targets to hold the business accountable to achieve this vision. So what are the KPIs which will define our success or our failure? It's our job then to ruthlessly challenge the assumptions of the plan and make sure investments are distorted appropriately across the right levers of the business. Establishing growth targets, there will be clear trade-offs which the business will need to make in order to make that come true. It forces budget owners and business leaders to make drastic choices now on how they will grow, or else they won't deliver. At the end, it comes down to empowering the team. And then the last element here is the plan, do, check, act. Okay, this is a classic Six Sigma concept, which leaves room for corrective action when a plan is coming to life, and bringing continuous progress or continuous improvement into the ambition. We know the future is unknown, but with the work the teams have put into the plan, the growth mindset and forced choices create a behavior that I believe augments the traditional ZBB process. As you can see, this model is a slight twist from the tradition. Instead of looking behind for what is wrong, it positions the organization looking forward to the right way to organize budgets around the right and common goal. Instead of looking back to decide what shouldn't be there, we look to the future to see what should be. It's not necessarily about spending less, but spending smarter. Okay, so of course, the last slide is benefits. We need to realize the benefits of this concept. So what does it do? It achieves all the goals of ZBB: cost transparency, resource reallocation, value creation, etc. But it minimizes the constraints. Okay, so instead of being seen as resource intensive, you get better engagement from your business partners. Instead of short term, it achieves a multi-year business planning and defines investments required for growth. Instead of difficult to prioritize, it provides clear KPIs and success indicators. Instead of lack of flexibility, the plan, do, check, act concept allows for flexibility to pivot in another direction, and also to identify the root cause of what's going wrong. So if you're worried about your organization being too complex, the approach can also help you reassess the org structure to achieve the ambition which your team has defined. So the bottom line, if you know where you are going, you will make better decisions here and now.